What's up, everyone? Welcome to Friday Night Draft League, and today we're going to be having a match of the Boston Red Claws versus the Kent Klawfs. The first time we see the Kent Klawfs on the featured match. We're currently in week 7. Next week will be the final week of the Superior Draft League, at least the regular season, because we'll be kicking into playoffs right after that. So, what is today going to look like? Well, match is going to be commentated by none other than Solo Salo and Perk Hayes, and then I'll be back here to talk about the trade deadline transactions that occurred, because this is the trade deadline week. So let's see how these teams shifted and changed throughout this deadline. Without any further delay, let's go ahead and watch this featured match. Going out and destroying the Roaring Moon and almost taking out the Tropius as well.
This time, no berry. Ooh, and Klefki barely hang on. Oh no, but the burn! I think this is going to be a really good match. Smooth Selfies have a really good team. Obviously, we'll be playing Cyndaquil, who's our reigning champion. What is up, beautiful people? I am Solo Salo, and welcome to your featured match for this week for the Superior Draft League hosted by Superior VGC, where we're going to have a nice battle between the Boston Red Claws, coached by our very own Kershaka, against the Kent Klawfs, coached by Coach Ice Salad. And I am joined here once again, very happy to be so, by my good friend Perk. So Perk, how's it going?
It's going great, man. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm happy that you're here because this is a lot more fun with two people around. As we see now, the teams. Kurt's changing his team up a little bit again. So we have the Persian rocking the Focus Sash, Gastrodon with a Berry, the Goodra with the Assault Vest. I like Hisuian Goodra. The Zapdos with another Berry, Mewtwo running the Leftovers, and the Klefki with the Light Clay for the screens. What do we have on the other side, Perk?
So we got a Spiritomb. We see that Ursaluna, Kyogre, of course, the Thundurus there. We've got the Regieleki, which is obviously always a threat, and we've got the Bascu Legion. Something to note, too, we see that Persian coming out from the Boston Red Claws again, and we did get confirmation, if you watched that match from 2 weeks ago, that it is spec'd for special attack, not physical attack.
Oh, I do remember that, and I remember taking it out of Lando.
yeah, with what's it called?
Icy Wind.
yeah, and it did so much damage, which was really cool. So I'm interested to see if he's planning to stick with that. I have to imagine he's probably not planning to stick with that, but you never know. You know, it's worked in the past for him. But both of these teams look pretty scary. I mean, Regieleki, Kyogre, and then you have like Mewtwo with what was the other? Zapdos, right? Zapdos being just super fast.
I believe I saw that Curse was not going to bring Mewtwo for this first round, actually.
Oh, I just meant in general, sorry. But yeah.
Well, yeah, Mewtwo's still scary, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. As we see the Persian and the Gastro, and I was not expecting the Spiritomb.
No, and it's like, you know, even just bringing the Mewtwo and not necessarily playing it, it's like your opponent has to be ready for it, right? So the Spiritomb is an interesting play, such an annoying Pokemon to take down here, but Regieleki certainly going to be the fastest thing on the field here, but you also got to watch for that Persian with its priority moves.
Yes, because the only way to avoid getting faked out if you're not a ghost is to turn into a ghost with Terra or to run Covert Cloak, that brand new item from this gen. So that is the option here, but the Persian actually opting to protect. That's very interesting. I also find it very interesting that it's a double protect. That's not what I was going to say, but we have a double protect from Curse, which really smart there, because Curse was seeing the future there. I was not expecting Regieleki to just show up and boom.
Why? That doesn't. I can't agree with that play. Regieleki seems very valuable unless there's something I'm missing. I mean, you could save Explosion for later, right? Like, I feel like he still has value.
And that's another play that I don't understand. Why set up Trick Room when the Gastrodon is there? I don't think the Klawfs have something that is lower than the Gastrodon.
Most likely not. I mean, obviously, I would highly doubt that Gastrodon has any speed investment. We're going to see the Kyogre come in here. I just think maybe, you know, you didn't need to lose Regieleki to pull that off. I mean, obviously they didn't know that they were going into a double protect there, so that was a great play by Curse to just kind of scout out what was going on. And to be fair, Curse is in not a great spot right now because he can't do the fake out anymore. The Kyogre's on the field, rain set up, and Kyogre is going to be a lot faster now under that Trick Room.
Well, we do see, I was just saying how the Gastro was a valuable piece there, and it turns out that the Gastro is going out. So that is very surprising to me from Curse. We also know that the Gastro carries the Storm Drain, so that alone makes it so that Kyogre can't just spam Water Spout, which is something that we've seen from the Kent Klawfs, because obviously, why wouldn't you? And then it also can't get Thundered, because it's part Ground type, but instead Curse is going to send in the Goodra here. Again, I love this Pokemon. I'm very happy that we've seen the Goodra is starting to come into play, because I wanted to use it since I saw it in Legends. As we see a Terra, okay, and yes, that makes a lot of sense. Curse, I think Curse is seeing the future here. He first knew to double protect, and now he knew to get Gastrodon out of there because of the Terra Grass on the Kyogre. We do have an open Terra.
Wow.
But now it's iSalad seeing the future because he somehow knew that the Gastro was going out.
A game of 4D chess playing out before your very eyes. No, I think the interesting thing about that is I think Curse probably felt like he was in the perfect position to swap in something good here because I would believe as well, Kyogre's not going to Water Spout in front of a Gastrodon, but I don't know if it's bold prediction or what, but I mean, great play, honestly. Like, got the Water Spout off, did a lot of damage. Persian hangs on with one, probably Focus Sash. I didn't actually see it.
Yeah, it was.
And Goodra hangs on with a little more than half, but it's like, what does this Goodra have right now that's going to change what's going on? Because we're going to see Phantom Force come out here. Goes for the Goodra slot. Not a lot of damage, but Goodra still goes down to a Water Spout here. We see the Earthquake come out.
And I'm not expecting too much damage on that because the Kyogre did Terra into Grass. So yeah, very little damage on both sides. So we're going to see another Water Sprout that might actually take out the Goodra. But I did notice that the Goodra, when we're looking at the move selection, barely going to survive that, by the way. Wow. But when we were looking at the move selection with the Goodra, it had the Terra Grass to try to hit the Kyogre, but the Kyogre became Terra Grass. So now none of the moves that Goodra was packing was going to be doing a lot of damage. And that Spiritomb is bulky because even the Kyogre resisted it, but the Spiritomb took barely any damage from that Earthquake too.
Yeah, I mean, iSolid's playing really great right now. I mean, I didn't love the Eleki play, but it worked out perfectly. I mean, and if you think about it realistically, it's like, hey, had that double protect not happened, something was definitely going down. But we see the Persian go down to the Earthquake from Goodra. Goodra just not really able to do much, and then goes down to the Water Spout here. So, I mean, Basculegion and Kyogre in the rain with Trick Room. I don't know, like, Zapdos comes in here maybe, but Zapdos is going to be the slowest thing on the field.
He does at least have the advantage with the Storm Drain. The Gastro with the Storm Drain probably able to put in some work here. But if that
Right.
Kyogre has Terra Blast, then that Gastro is not going to live anything.
Yeah,
And
it's a
that's
done
going to be a
deal.
problem.
Yeah, it's Night Night Gastrodon. You know, Pokemon Sleep, that's what Gastrodon's about to be doing. if Kyogre has Terra Blast.
Oh no, that's not the sleep they meant, I don't think.
The eternal slumber comes for all of us.
At least we see that the Zapdos is packing Hurricane, so that at least should put a dent on that Kyogre. But we saw that like you said, even after the Eleki play, which was kind of weird, the Klawfs now have the advantage just by the one Pokemon, but with good control on the field, as we're going to see that that is actual Pokemon sleep, and the Basculegion is going to be going for a wave crash. I forgot about the Mold Breaker. We saw that the Mold Breaker was the thing when it came in, so yes, that was enough for the Basculegion to actually take him out in the rain. This is going to do a lot to Zapdos. It's a straight out Oko. What is going on here? The Kyogre
That
just
was absurd.
it might be Specs now that I'm thinking about it, because it just kept water spouting, and not only that, but it kept doing so much with the water spouts.
Yeah, I mean, the Klawfs just kind of like going off every turn on that one, just firing on all cylinders. I think, you know, the Red Claws had the potential for some really good plays there. It just didn't pan out for them, right? Like they were just getting, you know, I don't know if they were getting red or, you know, they were just, you know, just random luck. But you know, shout outs to the Klawfs. That was excellent. Especially at the end there, having that Mold Breaker. I mean, we're watching the match right now, and I didn't notice it. I'm expecting, okay, you know, the Red Claws might be able to do something here. And we see him go for the Gastron, goes for the Goodra, you see the Zapdos, and what was the other one?
No Mewtwo again. I think it was Gastro, Gudra, Zapdos, and Klefki, yeah. And you know what? Good thing that I didn't have to prep for this team, because I would have totally forgotten about the Mold Breaker, as we see that Curse might have too. But we must remember this is a best of 3 set. So now the ball's on the court of the Boston Red Claws that have to try to adjust here, have to try to bring it back somehow. As we see, this is one of the most scary starts out there. The Kyogre with the Tornadoes, because that's instant rain, and the Prankster makes it so that there's a chance of instant Tailwind as well. I never know how to deal with this when I see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a scary combo, like you said, and I mean, the Boston Red Claws have a lot of utility. You see, they have the Yawn, they have the Sunny Day to remove that rain, they have screens, but it's a matter of, is it going to be enough? With these two Mons sitting in front of you, oh, we see the withdrawal. Kind of surprised about that, honestly.
I think it's smart, because the Klefki, I'm always scared of Prankster Mons. I respect Prankster Mons a lot. But we do see the Leer, and that's also very smart, because that's a defense drop on both Pokemon. And we see that the light screen went up, but the Kent Klawfs here bringing a physical attacker now.
Yeah, you see the switch into Ursaluna. Now it's Drowsy, now it's burned, because it's probably, what, Guts? Ursaluna, does Ursaluna get Guts?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a Guts Ursaluna. And more importantly, that makes it so that the Yawn is useless, because you can't fall asleep if you're already burned. And the only, I think, saving grace right now for the Boston Red Claws is that they're going to be able to set up Reflect, but at the same time, that Ursaluna is going to be hitting like a truck, and I would not want to be standing in front of that Ursaluna right now, especially since we've already seen it with the Ursaring from the Lancing Leafeons. Ursaring hits hard enough. Ursaluna is on a whole other level. As we see the Gastro going out, and I think it was Zapdos coming in, yes.
Now I'm wondering here if the Klawfs saw this coming. So we're going to find out here in a second. You see the Reflect come out? So sitting pretty good, but also still -1 defense. See the Grass Knot? Not going to do a whole lot to that Zapdos?
Zapdos eating that, but I don't know how well a Zapdos is going to eat that. Ooh, not well. It's good that it survived, but kind of on his last legs there, restoring a bit of HP thanks to that Agua Berry. But we also saw that the Tornadoes is faster, and that means that if it decides to set up a potential Tailwind here, we could see the Ursaluna going crazy. As we're seeing the option there from the Klefki, And I wonder, like, what do you even do here? I think he's going to take away the rain, but taking away the rain means that you have to go for that Thunderbolt, possibly the Heat Wave to benefit from the sun. But we do see the Tailwind, and now this is going to be an interesting turn.
Well, you have to wonder too. It's like how much setup is almost too much, right? Because you get to a point where, you know, you've whittled down your team in order to do a lot of this setup, but now you don't have a team to capitalize on it. So we see the high horsepower, instant knockout. Not too surprised to see that.
And that was through Reflect as well.
Right, right.
We do see at least that the Zapdos did a decent amount of damage. Maybe not too much on the Ursaluna, but the Tornadoes took almost half. The problem is that Tailwind though, because even before the Tailwind, Gastrodon is not particularly fast. So he's going to, look at that. He's going to try to lower speeds a little bit so that he doesn't get destroyed by the Ursaluna. But the question here is whether Gastrodon will even get to move, because no rain right now is kind of important. But we know that the Kyogre is still in the back. And then I think Zapdos is what is supposed to take care of that Kyogre from the... Yeah, and look, there he goes. It's supposed to take care of the Kyogre. And it's coming in. So that means that once again, we get the rain back. And Klefki's gone, so no taking that away.
Yeah, and it's interesting here because there was the chance to make a play on that. You know, like predicting that they would try and swap in the Kyogre here. Oh, wow. And it hangs on, though.
Well, that's a beefy Gastrodon, because Ursaluna, doing that much damage to a Gastrodon, not everyone can say that. And at least the Icy Wind goes through, which means that the Zapdos is probably going to outspeed that Ursaluna, but I don't think it outspeeds the Kyogre. And now that the rain is back, there's the potential of that Water Spout again. We saw it knock it out from full health, so I'm not sure. I don't think there's a way that Zapdos can survive and try to take out the Kyogre.
Do we know what the fourth Mon for the Klawfs is? Am I forgetting?
I don't think so. I don't think we do yet, because we've seen the Tornadoes only.
We could see the Water Spout here potentially, but if they don't have the Mold Breaker is on Basculegion, correct?
Yes.
So if we don't see that, then we could see right here.
Did we just call it
with the Mold Breaker and then the Water Spout? Nope,
no, it's actually Tornadoes. So no Water Spout, at least not now. But the Kyogre doesn't need the Water Spout to do massive damage. If you're going to see the Terra, is it going to be the Grass Kyogre again? It is, and this is obviously a defensive play, since that's a good prediction is there too, because I think that we saw the Zapdos going for Thunderbolts.
I'm kind of surprised to not see a Terra from the
we do see the Storm Drain.
So they did go for the Water Spout. I
guess...
but
it blocks it only for Gastrodon. I thought that it absorbed it entirely. Yeah, was that I was misinformed. I have been cheated. It does give at least Gastrodon a bit more power, but the Tornadoes also hanging on, so that means that a free turn for the Tornadoes and whatever it's trying to do. We do see that at least the Goodra has the Assault Vest, but we saw again that it doesn't have any moves that are going to be doing a lot to that Kyogre, and even with the Assault Vest, it doesn't take those Water Sprouts very well.
Right, and I mean they've got the Grass Terrestrialization to utilize, but I don't know if that's going to save them. Plus, you have a Tornadus there. I mean...
Yeah, do you really want to be Grass type in front of a Pokemon that has strong Flying type moves?
Right, exactly. And so it's like, what are your options here? You know, I don't think there are many.
And just saving the Kyogre, does that mean that the Basculegion is there? No, it's the Ursaluna. I don't think Ursaluna is going to survive another Icy Wind if that's what the Boston Red Claws are going for here. But we still don't even know what is the fourth Mon on the Kent Klawfs side.
So we are seeing the Grass Hisuian Goodra, which is nice to see. Taking up that defensive typing, do you think we're going to see a Flying type move into that slot?
Oh, I don't know, but I think it is quite possible, given that the Tornadus is there. No, it's just going to... I love seeing Leer, because that's how you say read in Spanish, leer. So I always laugh saying that Pokemon can actually read. But that's just going to make that Ursaluna very dangerous again. I'm not sure if there are many turns of Tailwind left right now. But is that... Oh, that's a double KO from the Hisuian Goodra. Nice play right there with the Surf. and that at least puts them back into this match. I still think the Kyogre is way too much of a problem. But look at that, the Tailwind's gone, and the Tailwind's gone with perfect timing because now, depending on what is there, it is the Basculegion. Ooh, yeah, no.
That problem here now is like, Water Spout's not going to do as much to this grass-type Goodra, but it's still going to probably hurt.
No, I know.
Gastrodon's in big trouble regardless. So he's going for the double protect here. Kind of risky, but there's not really a good viable option outside of that.
Yeah,
because we see... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just about to say, you're absolutely right, because if you don't get it, you're dead, and he didn't get it, but he was either going to die from that, or he was going to die from the Basculegion. So there wasn't really much to bet on right there. I'm guessing the Goodra is targeting the Basculegion. Oh, but those last respects, yeah, no, the Assault Blast is not going to protect you from how much that hurts. Let's see if at least the Goodra gets the KO here with the Terra Blast. Oh, just barely missing out on it. That would have been not maybe a turn of the tide kind of deal, but it would have at least made this match a little bit closer because I think right now it's already sealed.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the win con that I think the Boston Red Claws were seeing. You know, you get that double protect, you potentially take down the Basculegion. That means that you can't have Kyogre just water spouting like crazy. And we see the Goodra go down there, and that's going to be 2 and out for the Boston Red Claws, with the Klawfs walking away with another win.
And I believe that just confirmed my suspicion that the Kyogre was Specs, because it went for another Terra Blast, so it just activated that Sap Sipper. But the last respects was always going to be enough. So great match here. Good ideas from both coaches, except for maybe that explosion. But in the end, it didn't even matter. We just saw the a very dominant display from the Kent Klawfs, and I think that's what their season has been like for the most part. So, Perk, anything you want to add before we say goodbye for now?
No, I think it was a great match. I think both teams, you know, like I saw the vision with the Boston Red Claws. It just didn't pan out for them. And likewise for iSalad's team and the Klawfs, they played excellently. And just a great match overall. So, you know, thank you guys for joining us this week. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, and thank you again. We hope that you enjoyed this match, and we'll be seeing you all next week for the last week before playoffs, so it's going to be a good one. And for now, it's all from us. We send you right back to Curse, and y'all take care. Goodbye!
Bye.
All right, so starting off with the first few transactions here, we have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. They ended up dropping their Hisuian Samurott and picking up Slowbro. So their team going into the final week here of Superior Draft League and into playoffs, should they make it, is Groudon, Roaring Moon, Slowbro, the new Pokemon, Arcanine, Hisuian, Morgrim, Electrode, Goldengo, Lilligant, Hisuian, Pyroar, and Tropius. Pretty standard team, pretty good team. They've been doing pretty well across the board with what they've got, so I think they could consistently continue to perform the way they have. Pokemon that have been underperforming here, specifically the Roaring Moon, just picking up a lot of deaths and not putting out a lot of offensive threat to opponents. That could potentially change in playoffs because it does have the capability to be an offensive powerhouse, especially with the boosted Sun with Groudon. Moving on to the next team, we have the Lansing Leafeons, and surprisingly enough, they went through the trade deadline with no transactions. They did not shift their team at all. If it's not broken, don't fix it. They've been up at the top spot throughout the whole season. So first or second at all times. So I think they're pretty content with their team. They do have a lot of tools in the team that they can kind of maneuver around with. I'm surprised the Dodge Bun didn't get moved around, but you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think they're pretty comfortable with their team. So let's move on to the next team, which is the Flying Dutchmans. And this is another team that I think didn't get a lot of transactions, if any. And I'm not seeing any transactions for the Flying Dutchman. So again, they keep their same core. They're still potentially fighting for a spot, all dependent on the last season or the last week here of the season. So moving on to the next team, and this next team does have some transactions. We do have the Kent Klawfs. So the Kent Klawfs have dropped Reggie Eliki and they have dropped Taros Paldean. They picked up Earthworm and Hariyama. So now their team looks like Kyogre, Tornadus Incarnate, Ursaluna, Basculegion Male, Pachirisu, Impidimp, Earthworm, Hariyama, Spiritomb, and Bronzor. Hariyama does grant the Wide Guard ability, or at least move, so it does give some coverage to the team. Earthworm can take ground type moves. I think there's only one Pokemon here that really is scared of ground types, which is Pachirisu. I'm not too positive about the Earthworm tech here, but the Hariyama definitely a really great bring here. And most of the time, this team has only brought the Kyogre, Tornadus, Ursaluna, Basculegion combo with the occasional pivot between that Pachirisu or Spiritomb. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do moving forward if they make it through into playoffs, because again, this is another team that it's just dependent on how the division does. We'll go into that here in a second. Moving on to the next team, we have the Seattle Sandstorm. I do not believe there is a transaction for the Seattle Sandstorm either. Another team that seems to be content with their team. Again, they're in danger of not making it to playoffs, dependent on what their division, how things pan out. So they currently have Koraidon, Fluttermane, Sandy Shock, Scizor, Braviary, Haunter, Arcanine, Lilligant, Knackle and Alomomola. Moving on to the Spikemuth Pranksters, I do believe these guys had some transactions. We do see the Stonejourner, and I'm pretty sure this came in before everybody else's. So I think they only dropped the Donphan, picked up the Stonejourner. That was their last transaction that they had available for free agency. Now, if there were a trade, there would have been one, but I don't see a trade being posted. So they end up with Magearna, Annihilate, Sableye, Sneasler. And this Sneasler was the one from the Boston Red Claws that got traded over for the Cleaver that they used to have. Jumpluff, Thwackey, Regidrago, Stonejourner, Clawitzer, and Slowpoke. Again, team still contending. It's a really tight division run here. So next week will determine whether or not the Spikemuth Pranksters make it into playoffs. Coming into the Little Rock Lucarios, we see a major shift in their team. They unloaded entirely. They dropped Rayquaza, Iron Valiant, Palmot, and they ended up dropping as well Florges. So they end up picking up a whole bunch of Mons. So they pick up the Urshifu Rapid Strike, they pick up the Pelipper, they pick up the Palafin, and they also pick up the Wishcast just because of the way the points work here. Again, this is a way scarier team to prep for, but we're so far into the season, I do not think the Little Rock Lucarios can cut into playoffs at all. But at least they did make the transactions. I think we recommended those transactions back at week 6 of Friday Night Draft League. So moving on to the following team here, we have the Cleveland Celebi. They have one transaction, or maybe none, actually. I'm not seeing a transaction for the Cleveland Celebi. I know they did drop the Hippowdon and the Lycanroc. That was last week. So they ended up dropping off the Gallade and the Vaporeon to pick up Hippowdon and Lycanroc. They've already had this team for about a week now. So them moving into the final week and playoffs will look like Miraidon, Iron Bundle, Abomasnow, Iron Jugulis, Lycanroc Midday, Flareon, Iron Hands, Hippowdon, Shroodle, and Dugtrio. Now, this team also contending, but the division is so tight that if they do not win both their matches, their rounds, they might not make it into playoffs. So again, even though they're in second place, they can drop right below, depending on the other two teams below them. It's very interesting how the schedule panned out. Moving on to the Riolu's Rangers, these guys unloaded their whole team for the last week here. So they dropped Decidueye, Hisuian to pick up Bronze, or they moved Bronzong in that position. So they end up dropping Decidueye, Overqwil, Electrode, Walking Wake, and Gothorita to pick up Landorus Incarnate, Houndstone, Arboliva, Tyranitar, and Hippopotas. So they have two Sand Setters in Tyranitar and Hippopotas. They have Houndstone to benefit from the sand. They have Landorus to benefit from the sand. Bronzong doesn't get affected by the sand. And, I mean, that's as far as they go. They could potentially secure a playoff contention spot. But even then, their record is kind of tight to kind of say that they're going to be dominating in playoffs. I do not see, just based on their record, the current season record coming in, I don't see them forming in playoff contention. But if they do, it'll be really tough for them to even secure the wins that they would need to take it all the way. But with that being said, let's go on to the next team, which is the Boston Red Claws. There was only that one trade that we mentioned earlier, no free agency pickups. So the team ending the season will look like Mewtwo, Gudra, Hisuian, Gastron, Cleaver, Honchkrow, Persian, Zapdos, Klefki, Squawkabilly, and Muck. And that wraps up all of the transactions that have occurred throughout the week here. But let's go ahead and look at the current statistics for the league right now. As we see right here, we have the Groudon as the Season 2 kill leader as of right now. Our top 10 looking like Groudon, Magearna, Kyogre, Miraidon, Landorus, Therian, Goldengo, Koraidon, Abomasnow, Dialga, and then Enamorus Incarnate. Looking at the standings right here on the bottom left, you'll see that you have the teams listed, but that doesn't determine which teams make it to playoff. What makes playoff would be these down here, which would be the top 3 teams from each division. And the reason why we were talking about the Violet division being so tight is the fact that the Spikemuth Pranksters have 10 wins. So should they go ahead and pick up 2 wins and the Kent Klawfs or the Cleveland Celebi not pick up any wins, they might not make playoffs. Something similar can happen with the Lansing Leafeons, where they just lose both their matches, and then the Spikemuth Pranksters win both their matches. The other 2 teams win their matches as well, and now the Lansing Leafeons are out of contention into the playoffs. So again, this Violet division, anything can happen for those first 4 teams. The Boston Red Claws are out entirely. There's absolutely no way the Boston Red Claws can make it into playoffs. And then looking up at the Orange division, things do need to align here as well. So what we would need to happen here would be the Flying Dutchmans to drop, and then the Riolu's Rangers to secure the win, and then they would knock the Flying Dutchmans out. They would come in as the final playoff contending team. The Seattle Sandstorm can also drop down a bit. The Flying Dutchmans can probably benefit from that, but because they're 6-10, I think the Seattle Sandstorm make the cut regardless. Little Rock Lucario's cannot make the playoffs. Cuernavaca Syndicals are fighting for that first position. They probably already have that secure just because of the win-loss differences here. So again, it seems like the Cuernavaca Syndical might get a first-round bye. Then it looks like the Lansing Leafeons are contending to just maintain their position to get their first-round bye. And again, this is the first place and second place teams from last season. And they started, or at least the Cuernavaca Syndicals started off a little bit shaky. So this just goes to show how these teams are so good at analyzing what their opposition looks like, what the schedule looks like, and what they can and can't do leading into a match. So again, don't ever take these 2 teams for granted. But again, there's a lot of competition in the Violet division, so anything can happen. The Lansing Leafeons have dropped games before. It's not like they're undefeated. They've dropped games against teams that they shouldn't have. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this next week plays out. And if we scroll down here to the schedule, you'll see that that's it. Next week is the last week. So I'll catch you guys next week to go through which teams made it to playoffs, which teams did not make it to playoffs, what the standings are, what the seeds look like, which teams got the bye, and then we'll kind of predict what we expect to see happen in the final few weeks of Superior Draft League. Until next time, take it easy. Bye-bye.